When I first saw it, I was blown by how it looked because it really looks pretty epic. Hello everyone, I'm Dustin Benzel and welcome to another Pokemon discussion. Well, I call it a discussion because while this is relating to the XY anime a little bit, we're also going to talk about how this new information that I'm about to reveal corresponds with the next Game Freak game. So let's jump right in. I think it was Coro Coro where we had a leak of screenshots of the next Pokemon XY anime movie after the Hoopa movie. Oh, by the way, I'm putting this both in my Pokemon anime and my Pokemon playlist, even though it's probably going to be mostly talking about Pokemon in general. But anyway, we got 3 images of what appears to be a completely brand new Pokemon. When I thought this, I was like, wait a minute, something doesn't feel right. And then of course it hit me, and I'm sure you've already heard all the rumors and speculation, but if you only come to my channel for new information and stuff, well then of course this is going to be brand new information for you. Woo! Alright. So anyway, like I said, there are 3 images. I'm just going to basically show you it right around here. It's going to be 1 image, and basically I'm going to have that be for like at least a few minutes up so it can get used to the image and stuff, but we need to discuss the particular video or the image and first of all. So okay, let's basically say what it looks like. It looks like a brand new Pokemon, but let's look a little deeper and think, oh wait a minute, this is simply a Pokemon form for one particular Pokemon, and that is Zygarde. Now, I don't know what the pronunciation is. It could be Zygarde, Zygarde. My favorite so far is Zygarde, just because, or Zygarde, just because it sounds interesting. It's probably all wrong. It's probably like Unguard, so it's probably like Zygarde or Zygarde or something like that. So for this particular video, we'll just say Zygarde. Now, Zygarde is the other legendary that's within this particular XY anime games, because if I'm not mistaken, there are only 6 legendaries. There's the 3 main legendaries that you can get within the games without any problems, and then there's the event legendary like Diancie, Hoopa, and Volcanion. Going back, we have Yveltal and Xerneas, as well as Zygarde. So, let's talk about the anime a little bit and be like, okay, so basically what the next movie is basically saying that the next games from Game Freak, whatever they may be, is going to revolve around this Pokemon of potentially what looks like a new form of Zygarde. Now, the reason why I believe it is Zygarde and not a completely brand new Pokemon is because, first off, there are 2 signature moves that are associated or implied to be associated with Zygarde that have to do with like 1,000 arrows or something, and they have to deal with like land and ground Pokemon or something of that nature. So it's very important to note that that's what it is. It's probably Zygarde's form, and it explains those moves that it ordinarily wouldn't have access to. However, I want to discuss the possibility of it being a brand new Pokemon, which is why this is probably going to be mostly about Pokemon in general and possibly the next generation of games. The problem I have outright saying that it is a completely brand new Pokemon, as in 7th generation, isn't because we have yet to get Volcanion or Zygarde. The problem that I have is that the Pokemon in the images is too big, too epic of a next generation Pokemon. If that were to be a brand new 7th generation Pokemon, it would have to be one of the cover legendaries. It would have to be like I guess it would be like Mewtwo first generation, or Ho-Oh and Lugia second generation, Groudon, Kyogre, Rayquaza of third generation. You see where I'm going with this? If that Pokemon was a brand new Pokemon, it would have to be one of those. And I feel like if it was 7th gen, it would have to be related. It would be more related to the next generation series. Now, it's entirely possible that for whatever reason, 6th gen ends early and then we get into 7th generation. The only problem that I have with that is that so far we have no games announced, and basically they're basically the watermarks, but they could be completely wrong, insist that the next movie will not be Generation 7th, but it will be a continuation of Generation 6 in some fashion or another, which means at best Generation 7th will only happen by October. Now, I know this happened with Mewtwo, and I'm sure there are other examples like Zoroark and everything where 7th generation was revealed, but that's not my point. My point is, if it was a Generation 7th Pokemon, and as epic as it looks like it's about as big as Hoopa Unbound or even bigger. It's definitely around the size of Zekrom and Reshiram. The thing is, they would save that for the 7th generation anime. I don't understand why would they take an important legendary, as it appears to be in those images, and just slap it in a 6th generation anime. And even if 7th generation does start next year, but the anime will still revolve around Serena and Clement by the next movie. So that's why I'm leaning more to it being relating to Zygarde's new form, Mega Form, or something of that nature, because it would make the most sense. Because if there is going to be a 7th generation next year, but I will discuss other possibilities in terms of games, but if it is 7th generation, it wouldn't make much sense. Now, I suppose there's always the possibility that this is Zygarde's new form, but it relates to the 7th generation games. You know, I think there was one instance where that actually might have been the case, where you couldn't get like something until the next generation, which would make sense if this was Mega Zygarde, and so that would mean that 7th generation is around the corner. But because it is Zygarde and they want to introduce Zygarde, then it would make sense that they would create a movie. So there is still a small chance that 7th generation is around the corner. However, I'm not so certain of that, and this is where I need to discuss the games now. So far, we have not got the next iteration of Game Freak games. The last one were, of course, the remakes of Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. So then the problem is, what is the next Game Freak games? Some people said that for like the 20th anniversary or whatever, it was going to be Kanto again, the first generation, 3DS-ifying it. The only problem is that the Pokemon listed shows nothing of that, and I suppose while they could introduce Mega Zygarde into that, I'm pretty sure it's probably going to be a while before we see Kanto with 3DS graphics or whatever the next generation of Nintendo handheld games look. So that means that we have either two possibilities that we need to discuss in terms of games. Either it is 7th generation, or my more likely theory is that it's relating to the 3rd version or the sequels of X and Y. Kind of like if we go back in time, we have well, I don't know if there was anything for 1st generation. I don't know if yellow version counts, but starting with 2nd generation, we have Crystal. 3rd introduced Emerald. 4th generation introduced Platinum. 5th generation introduced Black 2, White 2. So I feel like, for the most part, this is what this means. That next year, we are going to get a Pokemon version Z, or we're going to get X2, Y2. I'm thinking because the next games probably will deal heavily around Zygarde. I feel like it's more leaning to version Z. Black 2, White 2 kind of made sense because they introduced the whole concept of Pokemon fusing, and Kyurem fusing with Reshiram and Zekrom created White Kyurem and Black Zekrom, or Black Kyurem. So that at least made sense why they did sequels, because it wasn't quite just Kyurem and they wanted to add that particular fusion aspect into the games. Now, this probably wouldn't make sense for Zygarde. It wouldn't make sense to have a fusion of Xerneas and Yveltal into Zygarde, because at least it made sense with 5th generation, because Kyurem was said to be a broken shell of the original dragon, and we assumed that some aspect of Kyurem split into Zekrom and Reshiram, and that was part of the whole mythology, and the fusion basically was to bring back the original dragon Pokemon that it was, so at least it made sense. But it doesn't make sense here, because Yveltal, not only is it like flying dark, Xerneas is pure fairy, and Zygarde is dragon ground, they're just not part of it. They could do fusion again, it just wouldn't make any sense. So basically we either have mega form or new form, and it's probably likely a new form. The thing with mega evolutions is they're not too drastic that they completely alter the body structure of a Pokemon, but new forms do, like with Rotom, it definitely takes the place of the washer, the refrigerator type thing, the fan, the mower, the toaster thing. So, and then we have Shaman, who turns into like a different creature almost when it becomes the grass flying form that it has. So I'm leaning more to a new form, but I will not discount the possibility of it being a mega evolution. What does this exactly say about the games, though? If it is the next third version, because we haven't got that, and I'm not sure they would skip it, I think this is the third version or third versions of 6th generation. So basically, it's going to be in place in Kalos region, and I'm thinking that along with Zygarde's new form or Mega Evolution, they're probably going to introduce, finally, Mega Evolutions to 6th generation Pokemon. So maybe the next Kalos games will have the Mega Evolution of Delphox, Greninja, as well as Chestnut, and possibly other Pokemon sprinkled here and there will have Mega Evolutions, as well as some other brand new pre-evolution or previous generation Pokemon will have Mega Evolutions now, like maybe the 2nd generation starters will have Mega Evolutions or something of that nature, or even the 4th generation things or whatever. So that's basically what we're covering. But what if it is 7th generation? What if 7th generation is revealed? Now, in terms of the anime, bringing this back to the anime, it would seem that based on the pacing and timeline, that they're probably aiming more for, it seems like 7th generation is the more likely option in terms of the anime, because if this is just a third version and we have to wait an additional year in 2017 for the 7th generation games, that would mean that the anime is still going to last even 2 more years. So there is, in terms of the anime, it seems like it could be 7th generation, which would be fine, only if it does introduce certain Mega Evolutions, it's going to be a little awkward to pull this out. So I don't know, it's hard. Personally, I would aim more for the 3rd version, the 7th generation. But if this is 7th generation games, like it would imply by the anime's pacing, because we're almost at Anastar, there's still a few episodes away. Like we have brought a Dadcast Pokemon, like I said. We're like at around episode 90. And so we still have no idea when we're going to get to Anastar, nor are we going to know if we can get to Snowbell or even Wolfric, or where the League is pacing, or the Master Class Pokemon Showcase for Serena. So what does this mean for the anime? Well, if it is seventh generation, as the anime seems to imply by the pacing, we will get Olympia very close soon, October. We'll probably get Wolfric in either December or early January of 2016, and the Pokemon League will probably take place around the movie or whatever, and we'll get, or at least wherever the next Game Freak games are released will be when the series ends. However, if it is the implied third versions, then we have some problems in terms of the anime pacing. First off, if they extended the pacing and had Ash capture Noibat before Valerie and possibly had a 3-on-3 where Noibat was used, I feel like the pacing could have been a little bit different, because right now, if we are talking about third versions, that means the anime with Serena, Clement, and Bonnie and Ash, 6th generation anime, is going to continue for another 2 years. It's not going to end until like October 2017, unless, of course, Game Freak decides to release 7th generation like a few months after the third versions of X and Y, whatever, either it's a sequel or Pokemon Z or whatever. So, I'm not really sure, but if it is third versions, that means that we are probably going to get a huge gap between Olympia or Wolfric. Or if we can hope that the third versions introduce a Battle Frontier, because Ash missed out on 4th generation, it seems like after the League they probably will go and basically they'll probably have to do the Battle Frontier or whatever in some fashion to give Ash a goal, because Declare Islands, I can't deal with that for a whole year. I can't deal with Ash going to the League like by next June or July 2016 and completing the League, and then from that to the 7th generation just be completely filler content with nothing, as we saw in Declare Islands. I don't know if I could do that. XY has been good with the episodes, like I mean, I suppose even Rotom's Wish is probably a little iffy, but basically, yeah, it's a little complicated for me, because even if XY were to come up with some good stories, I don't know if I want some sort of filler saga or filler arc and stuff. So, but there is another possibility that I want to mention. If we are getting 2 more years of the XY anime, or even more than 2 years, because I don't know when these next games are going to be released, because we don't have any data in terms of Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, so there are going to be Game Freak games released next year. I think this pretty much is a guarantee. It may not be 110% confirmed, but it's pretty much a likely guarantee at this point that by next October, around there in 2016, we are going to get new Game Freak games, whether that's 7th generation or third version. So if it is third versions and the anime is going to last an additional 2 more years, then there is one possibility that Olympia is probably going to be around late October, early November, if this is possibly a thing, and then Wolfric may be between like February, March, or April or something. I don't know, that's not gonna work. Maybe Wolfric will be more like around April or May or something of that nature. Then maybe we would have enough information of the next version of the games that they said that they introduced a Battle Frontier. Now, what I would hope in the anime is that Ash decides to go to the League, something happens during that time, but something happens and the League is canceled for a serious long time, so Ash decides that he's going to do the Battle Frontier. Like I said, the timing is not going to really work unless they really make a huge gap between Olympia and Wolfric, and it will probably have to get some sort of gap that is as long as Candace and Volkner in order to fit a Battle Frontier. And then we'll get, hopefully we'll get like 7 frontier battles, brains or whatever, Frontier Brains, and then it could just be like a league situation, or not a league, but gem collecting thing or whatever, and this could be training for the league, and then Ash could get an additional couple more Pokemon, whatever they may be, possibly Mega Evolutions, maybe, I don't know if he's going to get a couple Mega Evolutions, but he's probably only get one at most, but you know, it might be possible. It might depend on the battle. Like if he's going to go in one battle, maybe he'll use this Mega Evolution, and another one will use Mega Evolution, or whatever. Or maybe they'll just give him Pokemon, random Pokemon that have no purpose but have Mega Evolutions. But Ash is only going to have one Mega Evolution, and it'll be a surprise which one Ash actually has Mega Evolution. I don't know, but the point is, hopefully this Frontier battle will prepare Ash for the League, and then when he does do the League at the end of the generation, maybe he'll do very well, and then whatever happens will happen. But I don't know but I don't see that as happening. What I do see happening is basically we're going to get the League by next June, July, somewhere around there. The games are going to be revealed that there's going to be Battle Frontier. We're probably going to get probably quite a bit of filler episodes until the games are released. And then Ash is going to hear about the Battle Frontier or some other aspect. And then we're just going to get fillers for another year until 2017, where I would then believe the 7th generation games are revealed. Either way, I think the anime writers screwed up a little bit. I don't know if Game Freak was on the fence of creating a 3rd version or 7th generation, but right now the anime's pacing seems like the next generation is around the corner. Unfortunately, that doesn't fit the Zygarde pictures. That might be a new form or Mega Evolution. I'm not really sure what's going to happen. We'll probably find out maybe at the end of this year, or possibly February or next of year. So I'm not really sure what's going to happen, but it's a little complicated here. So I think that's pretty much covers my particular thoughts on this. I don't think there's anything else I have to speculate on this particular on these images in relation to the Pokemon. Like I said, as it relates to the Pokemon anime, I am a little concerned, because we are past the 6th gym and we only have 2 more gyms left, and I'm pretty sure they're not going to extend that for 2 years, because we are almost at Olympia. Whether they decide to delay it until like 95 or even episode 100, we are still likely going to get it by the end of this year. And Wolfric, in order for it to even make remote sense, they would have to extend it to at least by near the time that the next games are released, if it is 3rd versions, because otherwise we're going to get the League next year, and I probably already expect this, but we're going to probably get an additional filler year waiting until the 7th generation games, unless of course Game Freak plan on releasing both the 3rd versions and 7th generation in one go. I don't know what's going to happen. I really can't know. I don't work for Game Freak, so I can't really speculate. And if I did work for Game Freak, I probably wouldn't be allowed to make this video. Anyway, I think I've covered my thoughts. Please tell me what you think this means in terms of the next games, the next Game Freak games, or even in terms of the anime, because I really want to get your thoughts on this particular subject, because this really is confusing me and I have no way to know what's going to happen. There are just so many possibilities, but only one will end up being right. So anyway, thank you for watching. I'm Dustin Benzel, and I will see you in my next video. Goodbye.